Texas is one of the regions hit hardest by wild boars, making them a serious threat to local agriculture. Today, my friends and I are heading out on another wild boar hunt. This isn't just a way to control their population, it's also something we genuinely enjoy. Stick around to see if we manage to take down any boars this time. As usual, my friends and I drove out to the wide open grasslands behind the mountains to kick off a hunting trip. Since this is a familiar hunting ground, several feeders and hunting stands had already been set up to lure the wild boars in, and this time was no different. From the stand, I adjusted my rifle for the best line of sight. There it is, our target completely absorbed in enjoying the tasty grains. I held my breath. With a swift pull of the trigger, the bullet shot out, and the boar dropped instantly. A smooth, promising start. With each quiet step, I carefully moved through the bushes, trying not to make a single sound. Reaching a good vantage point, I could see the wild boar moving in and out of view, almost blending into the dry grass. It looked extremely alert, ready to bolt at any second. The moment came. I fired, the bullet sliced through the air. The shot rang out, and the boar staggered. Without hesitation, I took the second shot, and the wild boar finally collapsed, completely taken down. As we followed the forest trail, our eyes constantly scanned for signs of wild boars' jagged hoofprints, and patches of freshly dug earth stood out clearly on the damp ground. It was obvious these animals had become a nightmare for local farmers. After a long, silent wait, we suddenly spotted a lone wild boar. Its size was far larger than the ones we usually encounter, making our entire group extra cautious. My heart pounded in my chest as I prepared to take the shot. Then, as the target came fully into view, I took aim and held my breath. Shot rang out. The bullet cut through the air, and to swing the distance, the wild boar dropped instantly. As the sun began to set and dusk settled in, we spotted a group of wild boars foraging, digging into the earth in search of food. In the fading light, we watched closely. Concentration, I decided to take the shot aiming at the largest boar in the group. A single, decisive shot, unexpectedly precise, dropped the target on the spot. Wasn't the end. A new group of wild boars had just appeared, and our determination only grew stronger. Without hesitation, a shot rang out, leaving no chance for panic or escape. Another massive target was taken down. Unfortunately for them, today they crossed paths with us. The squeals of startled boars echoed through the air, but I wasn't about to let them get away. One shot after another, and the wild hogs dropped one by one in the tall grass. As night fell, we returned home with spoils from an exhilarating day of boar hunting. The wild hogs would now become a delicious meal. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. According to the Missouri Department of Conservation, feral pigs cause more than $1.5 million in damage to crops and forests in the state each year, not to mention the risk of transmitting diseases to livestock and destroying native ecosystems. Especially in the Ozarks, where the rugged terrain is a paradise for this destructive creature, many farmers have been left penniless after a night of feral pigs. That's why we decided to launch a daring, uncompromising ambush with the sole goal of minimizing the threat from the growing herd of feral pigs. Will we be successful on this trip? Please follow along. The heavy snow covered the northern mountains, where we were tasked with hunting down a herd of wild boars that had caused damage to a farm not far away. Despite the harsh weather, the hunting team was ready. After dividing the tasks, I was assigned to a high point on the mountainside, an ideal position to observe the entire area below. In the quiet space, a large herd of wild boars suddenly appeared. Their agile steps flew past. I immediately pulled the trigger, the sound of the gun rang out, and I also took down one of the targets. Still in the same position, I aimed the gun at the fleeing targets and kept pulling the trigger, taking down more targets. And we had obtained worthy spoils from this ambush. My teammates also opened fire immediately. The sound of gunfire echoed across the mountainside. The wild boars panicked and fled, but many of them could not escape the accurate bullets. They collapsed on the cold snow, no longer having a chance to survive. I held my gun tightly, my eyes fixed on the fleeing boars. I picked out favorable targets, taking them down one by one. Even though some had managed to escape, I continued to track down those that had separated from a herd, determined not to let them escape from my sights, determined to destroy them all. Still in the same forest, I continued to move around, looking for targets. The new ambush location provided a very good view. Just about 30 minutes later, while observing, I spotted a wild boar crossing the trail and immediately took it down. Although it was not easy to spot them in this dense forest, the feeling of hunting such a prey was really exciting. It didn't take long. We quickly spotted the next herd of wild boars, this time much larger and more numerous, crossing giant and lone black boar as my target. As it climbed the mountainside, I held my breath and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, the boar was hit, writhed and rolled down the slope. The group continued to chase the remaining herd of boars. Shooting at targets running at high speed was a real challenge, but was also what made the hunt more dramatic. Thanks to my concentration, I continued to take down a few more wild boars. Despite their efforts to escape, many were still shot down on the spot, even rolling down the mountain foot, a scene that made me unable to contain my excitement. Just a few minutes later, we entered a fierce chase with our teammates. Between the snow-covered trees, several large black shadows rushed past. I quickly raised my gun, seized the opportunity, and opened fire. After a few consecutive shots, a wild boar fell, another valuable trophy in this hunt. In the woods, the wild boars panicked and ran away because they were being chased by the hunting dogs. At this point, they were still unaware that we were ambushing them. When one of them came into a favorable position, I immediately opened fire, and it seemed like I had taken down the target. With this shot, I felt satisfied with the whole hunt today. After many efforts, we had taken down quite a few wild boars, but the hunt was not over yet. On the other side of the hill, the herd continued to run away, forcing us to shoot continuously to stop them. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the mountains and forests, making the whole group even more excited. The hunt lasted until late afternoon.
This week, we received an urgent call for help from a farmer living in the state of Georgia. His family's crops were being ravaged by wild hogs. They had lost nearly 70% of their agricultural yield last season, and if nothing was done soon, the situation would spiral out of control. We didn't waste a second. From Texas, our entire team took off by helicopter, fully equipped with thermal scopes, long-range rifles, and night reconnaissance drones. As we landed in the outskirts of Waycross, Georgia, we knew we were stepping into a real battlefield. 9:30 p.m. Under the faint moonlight and thick fog, our thermal scopes picked up 4 targets silently moving in from the edge of the forest. They were massive, moving slowly yet menacingly. We split into 2 teams and closed in from opposite directions. One clean trigger pull, all 4 dropped in total silence. But that was just the beginning. Darkness cloaked the field, but thanks to our thermal imaging, we could easily spot hogs lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. This was it. A loud gunshot cracked the silence. One hog collapsed instantly. The sound startled the rest, sending them scattering in panic. We didn't hold back. We kept firing, dropping as many targets as possible. We pushed forward and suddenly spotted a large hog foraging in the open. As soon as it sensed danger, it bolted. But it couldn't outrun a well-placed shot. Another one down. From a distance, we noticed another sounder moving across the field. No time to hesitate. We opened fire, targeting them one by one. Gunshots echoed non-stop, but landing accurate shots was tough. These hogs were fast, and it took us a while to fully eliminate the group. This place was clearly a hot zone for wild hogs. The deeper into the night, the more aggressive and widespread they became. We encountered sounder after sounder, casually roaming and foraging like they owned the land. Our thermal scopes gave us a huge advantage, allowing us to take down hogs with pinpoint accuracy. These beasts were massive, making it easier to spot and track them. We just had to stay hidden and wait for the perfect moment to strike. We didn't stop there. Tracking deeper into the forest, I spotted a hog busily foraging between tree trunks, unaware of the danger nearby. I aimed directly at its head, squeezed the trigger, and down it went instantly. Unfortunately, the rest of the group disappeared into the dense woods. Undeterred, the whole team pushed forward. I focused on the biggest hog to the right. Took aim. Headshot.
Take him now.
While ambushing a large sounder out on the field, I locked onto the biggest one and took the shot. But it wasn't enough to bring it down. One more off the list. After a long night of hunting, we had collected some impressive trophies. The hog panicked and fled. It was getting late. We were exhausted, and the constant gunfire had already spooked the hogs. We called it a night and returned to rest. All the hog carcasses were handed over to local authorities for proper handling and disposal.
That'll make it a good picture too, having them.
feral hogs, an invasive species now a living nightmare for thousands of farmers and landowners across the region. Fields of corn are destroyed overnight, native ecosystems are severely disrupted, and there have even been cases of attacks causing injuries to locals. What's even more alarming is their breeding rate. A single sounder can double in size within just a few months. In response, a campaign was launched. So how did we do it? Let's dive in. Early in the morning, we were already stationed on a high mountain ridge, known for its rich vegetation, an ideal hiding spot for wild hogs. After hours of scouting, we finally spotted our first target from atop a rocky ledge. And of course, I wasn't about to let it escape. In a split second, I seized the opportunity and fired a precise shot, dropping it right on the spot. A clean start to the hunt, and a clear sign this was going to be a long day. By now, sunlight had spread across the hillside when we heard a strange noise rustling from the nearby brush. Wild hogs have incredibly sharp hearing, so the moment it noticed us, it charged. Thankfully, we were prepared for any scenario. As it closed in, just meters away, I lined up a perfect shot and fired. Bullseye. Down went a filthy, black-haired boar. To reach the next area, we had to cross a steep mountain. By midday, we were resting by a large boulder when a loud crash echoed from across the slope. A shadow darted by in a flash. This time, there was no chance for a standard ambush. We had to go in fast and finish faster. When the range dropped below 50 meters, our team opened fire in unison. The skirmish ended quickly, another hog down. A few others, however, managed to escape deeper into the woods. There was no time to hesitate. One teammate immediately fired as the herd emerged, dropping one and throwing the rest into chaos. With a clear line of sight, we sprang into action. The sound of gunfire echoed through the valley, and by the end, most of the herd lay scattered across the dirt. Afternoon slipped by quicker than expected. We quickly picked up the trail of those that got away. In under a minute, several targets were brought down.
Aferin Mehmet'e.
10 minutes later, I caught a glimpse of a familiar silhouette. Before they had a chance to react, the whole team opened fire. Another clean takedown. As the sun began to set, the day's mission drew to a close. A long, intense, nerve-wracking day, but one marked by huge success. The fields of Morocco have just gone through a busy harvest season, but farmers keep complaining that wild boars have significantly reduced their yields. As the harvesting process takes place, the wild boars begin fleeing toward the nearby mountains to hide. On the vast fields, controlling wild boars is extremely difficult because they are experts at hiding and only come out to feed at night. It is only during harvest season that we see them fleeing the fields in astonishing numbers. Their invasion causes severe damage to crops, reducing yields and making life difficult for farmers. To prevent this, we are forced to organize hunting trips, hoping to control this destructive population. We set out early in the morning, heading toward the wild mountain beside the field. Many other hunting groups joined in, with vehicles rushing forward one after another. In front of us stood a tall mountain with dense vegetation, the perfect hideout for wild boars. The hunting dogs didn't take long to search, and soon we found our first target. Gunshots rang out repeatedly. Other hunters had likely already begun the hunt. Seeing the prize, a massive wild boar, made me more excited than ever. I quickly joined the battle, ready to take down more wild boars. From the dense bushes, a wild boar suddenly burst out at high speed. Waiting for this very moment, I immediately fired, hitting the target straight on. The wild boar collapsed on the spot with no chance of escape. At the foot of the mountain, the recently harvested fields looked barren, and the hunting dogs quickly tracked down another target. The moment it suddenly charged out of the bushes, seemingly ready to attack me, the gunshot rang out. Fortunately, I managed to take down the wild boar just in time before it could harm me. These wild boars are extremely aggressive, so we must be extra cautious while hunting. Many wild boars were still hiding in the dry grass, and our only choice was to track them down and eliminate them quickly. The thrill of ambushing and taking down wild boars was incredible, as we knew they were the ones destroying agriculture. In the thick grass, a fat wild boar was struggling against the hunting dogs. Although it tried to flee, I managed to fire a timely shot. Everything unfolded perfectly. We successfully took down the wild boar after an exhausting pursuit. The dogs were just as excited about this prize, barking loudly in triumph. Scattered all around were the wild boars we had hunted. Just when we thought the wild boars had been chased away or had escaped, a gigantic one suddenly charged out of the bushes. Its heavy steps gave me enough time to aim precisely. Without needing a second shot, I took it down perfectly. The wild boar was like a fierce beast, but it could not overcome me. I was quite surprised by the enormous size of the wild boars in this field. However, hunting such massive targets only heightened the excitement. These were the kind of prey I wanted to take down. The farmers and hunters continued targeting wild boars in the mountains. We organized and assigned tasks to coordinate the hunt more effectively. Pushing through the dense bushes, we searched for our next targets. About half an hour later, a wild boar suddenly dashed down the mountainside, forcing me to adjust my aim and fire immediately. After a series of shots, the wild boar was finally taken down. Soon after, more wild boars appeared. We had to focus our aim on the opposite mountainside. The gunfire was relentless, and the chase was intense. We were determined not to let any wild boars escape. Moving further through the mountains, we found more wild boars hiding. Those within a favorable distance became my next targets. One by one, I fired precise shots, causing the wild boars to collapse and roll down the slope. From the distant mountainside, gunfire continued to echo as hunters eagerly celebrated their successful kills. I didn't miss my chance either. I carefully observed and fired decisively. The hunting dogs were a huge help, relentlessly chasing the wild boars and driving them into a panic. Thanks to them, we had a better opportunity to take accurate shots. The wild boar hunting expedition to protect the fields had been a great success. We had eliminated a significant number of wild boars, helping to reduce their population. However, these battles will continue as the wild boar population grows rapidly. heart of the American South, the state of Oklahoma is under relentless attack, not by an army, but by a creature many once thought harmless: wild feral hogs. An estimated 1.5 million feral hogs roam Oklahoma's fields, forests, and farms. Each year, they cause over $60 million in damages, destroying crops, tearing up irrigation systems, wrecking infrastructure, and even endangering the safety of local residents. So today, we came prepared with helicopters and high-powered weaponry, ready for a high-speed chase against the beasts that have been terrorizing the countryside. As the sun rose, our chopper lifted off. Below us, in the thin woods and torn-up cornfields, a herd of hogs was already on the move, tearing through the land like a living storm. We moved in fast, but don't be fooled, these hogs are not easy to catch. Every shot needs to be pinpoint accurate. A single misfire, and they'll vanish into the brush in seconds. Amid the roar of the rotors, I kept firing, aiming at the massive hogs sprinting below us across the churned-up fields. With aerial vision, Charlotte was landing her shots with deadly precision, each hog dropping in a cloud of dirt and dust. The helicopter circled the field, its engine screaming through the open sky. These hogs usually hide in thick brush or tall grass, but from the sky, they have nowhere to hide. One clean shot, and they're down on the spot. Suddenly, a large group burst out from ahead. The first shot dropped one instantly. The rest scattered in all directions, a textbook hog reaction, but it was too late. Every escape route had already been locked in. One by one, they were taken down by precision fire from above. In this chase, our instinct was no match for aerial speed and firepower. As we moved on to the next group, I kept firing but missed. That's when I realized shooting from the air is a completely different game than hunting on the ground. It's exhilarating. After missing multiple targets, I began to adapt. Watching how my teammate handled his weapon, I mimicked his hand movements, adjusted my aim based on the herd's direction. I wasn't perfect, but I could feel myself improving. And I knew right then this kind of skill comes from rigorous training and experience. From above, we spotted movement in a thick patch of brush. We hovered, watching. The land here is dry and rugged. Maybe that's why the hogs in this region aren't particularly large. But don't be fooled. Even at just a few dozen kilos, they're more than capable of ripping through farmland and devastating crops. They adapt fast, and that's what makes them so dangerous. There are so many hogs here, the ones we've taken down today are just a small fraction of the whole. That's why our team remains determined not to let any get away. The herd scattered trying to flee, but it was no use. We stayed on them, hunting them down one by one. Our hunt stretched into the late afternoon. But as you can imagine, wild hogs continue to breed and hide, forcing helicopter hunting teams to fly missions every single week. This battle, no matter how thrilling, is far from over. Oklahoma, along with many other states, is still calling for more resources, tougher laws, and stronger community involvement to stop this invasive menace. In Oklahoma, amid sprawling cornfields and scattered dairy farms, a silent war is raging. Not between people, but between man and what many consider the destroyer of modern agriculture, the wild hog. According to the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, wild hogs cause up to $60 million in damage every year. They tear up farmland, wreak havoc on ecosystems, break the banks of water reservoirs, attack livestock, and in some cases, even injure people. Before things spiral out of control, I'm teaming up with local hunters to plan a large-scale hog eradication campaign. So what are we waiting for? Let's gear up and head out. Our destination this time, a mixed woodland forest, prime hiding ground for wild hogs. Less than 20 minutes in, as we moved along the forest edge, a massive herd appeared within range. Without hesitation, I fired, dropping one with a clean, precise shot. It thrashed for a few seconds, then went still. No time to rest. I quickly refocused and took down several more targets. Pushing deeper into the woods, we were surprised by not only the number of hogs, but their sheer size. One managed to bolt at the sound of our movement, but the rest were slower to react. I aimed at the nearest, a sow weighing around 130 pounds, and dropped her instantly. A soft rustle ahead made us freeze. The hogs clearly swooped, scattered in all directions at lightning speed. My team and I reacted on instinct, squeezing off shots with total focus, aiming for maximum accuracy.
Oh, super.
After that thunderous barrage, one by one, the hogs dropped. Adrenaline surged through us. It was a huge morale boost. While resting against a tree trunk, we heard high-pitched squeals, a new herd, even larger and denser than before. This was a golden opportunity. Without delay, we scrambled into firing positions. Gunshots rang out from our cover, but these hogs were cunning. We only managed to take down a few before the rest vanished beyond our sights. It was a bit disappointing, but this wasn't over. Plenty more hogs were still out there. We poured every last bit of energy into tracking them down, and our efforts paid off. We quickly located more targets and launched a surprise ambush. The outcome? A satisfying haul that made all the hard work worth it. Time was running out. We needed to head back before nightfall. But then, out of nowhere, another herd appeared. We were stunned. We couldn't pass up this final shot. By the time the skirmish ended, darkness had fallen. On the truck bed lay dozens of wild hogs, silent proof of a long, intense, but wildly successful day.